Hi everypony, Winged T Spears here, and I am back with the unofficial sequel to The Most Annoying Infestation, this one being called The Most Annoying Houseguest. Yes, this story is the product of Oakelhound's 250k competition, in which authors are prompted to write an unofficial sequel to one of Oakelhound's stories. And I found this little beauty in the feature box, and you can imagine my surprise and awe that a sequel to this story had been made. So I just had to read it, and I'd like to thank the author of this wonderful little bundle of cuteness, Harmony Pie, for giving me permission to read this wonderful story. So I will leave the link to the story in the description where you can go and check it out for yourself and some of Harmony's work. She is an excellent author and you will not be disappointed, trust me. So, without further ado, let's get down to reading, shall we? Let's go. The Most Annoying Houseguest by Harmony Pie. Rainbow Dash found it was pointless to read the Daring Do books only once. After all, how would she absorb every little detail about Daring's amazing adventures? So she had settled on that night to try and read as much as possible. No, she wasn't an egghead. It was just being awesome within the mind. Yeah. At least that's what she told Twilight whenever the unicorn found Rainbow following another one of Daring Do's quests. Wings aching from a day of flying, the Pegasus stumbled up to her bed, before collapsing onto its blue blankets. It was already dark, and black shadows stretched across Rainbow's walls. Yawning, she flicked on a light with her hoof, and settled down against her pillow with a book in her arms.
Daring Do and the Temple Quest,
she muttered to herself, flipping open the page.
Let's see,
Rainbow said quietly, squinting at the words.
Daring Do... Hey, Blue Mummy?
The mare yelped and jerked up, nearly smashing her lamp in the process. Rainbow whipped back. Her book went flying across the floor as she fell out of her bed. Radically, of course. She definitely didn't land on her head.
What?
She cried, trying vainly to get her bearings. Rainbow peered around to her bedpost, her heart pounding in her ears. There was only one pony that called her that.
Blue Mummy!
The grey foal exclaimed again, scurrying up to Rainbow like a puppy.
I miss you,
he cried out, as mournfully as a little colt could manage, before pressing his face into Rainbow's fur. Pushing back, the blue mare's mouth failed to form words.
What the what?
She blinked, and then blinked again, at the all-too-familiar bat pony colt, who continued to press his light blue mane into her chest.
Batty?
She asked incredulously. The colt pulled away for a moment, and gave Rainbow a huge, childish grin.
Yes!
He shouted, like he had just won the lottery.
It is me!
Rainbow Dash continued to stare at him for a minute, but then she regained her cool and picked herself up. She fluttered over to her Daring Do book strewn across the floor and made sure to tuck it under her covers. Batty didn't need to be aware that Rainbow liked awesomeness within the mind.
Kid,
she began, rubbing her face with her hoof.
What the hell are you doing here?
Batty jumped up suddenly and squeaked. The sound itself made Rainbow Dash wince.
I'm here to have a sleepover with you, Blue Mummy.
His eyes grew so wide Rainbow was sure they would pop. With a sigh and a half smile, the Pegasus plopped down beside the colt.
First off, I am not your mom,
she said, chuckling at the way Batty's ears flickered.
Okay, Blue Mummy,
he chirped, saluting her like a soldier. Rainbow liked this kid. She cleared her throat.
But seriously?
She was cut off by the sound of scampering hooves. Rainbow turned around to the sight of the colt that had been right in front only moments before, now determinedly dashing into the kitchen.
Hey, little buddy,
she called, following after him with a sigh. Now what? She had to get this little guy home before something went horribly wrong. She could already feel her relaxing night slipping away.
Betty, what are you doing?
She stopped in her tracks when she saw the colt, who had managed to crawl up to the cupboard. He had one leg dangling over the counter as he squirmed closer to his prize, a cookie jar. Rainbow face-hooved. She watched in bemusement as Batty struggled to climb up, and finally succeeded in grabbing the jar between his hooves. He let out a squeal of victory and tumbled down to the floor.
Look, Blue Mummy!
Batty shouted in sheer glee, leaping up to face the mare. He clasped the jar up in the air before sitting down on the floor with a thud. He then proceeded to stuff his face.
Did you make these, Blue Mummy?
Batty asked, shoving another cookie in his mouth. Rainbow Dash groaned inwardly.
No, I did not. And hey, those were mine, by the way.
Her slightly hurt look was ignored by the colt, who smiled. The Pegasus rolled her eyes, staring down at the bat pony who had just invaded her house and was now stealing her very special cookies. She probably would have called the police, if he wasn't so frickin' adorable.
All right, Batty, slow down. I don't know what your parents are feeding you there, but chill, kid. You're gonna make yourself sick.
The colt continued to munch even more vigorously than before. Rainbow sighed, chuckling. Without a sound, she dipped down and hoisted Batty into the air, despite his cry of protest.
Nuh-uh. I ain't letting you just sit around in my kitchen eating my food in the middle of the night,
she said, as sternly as she could manage. The colt squealed and kicked furtively against his captor's back. Rainbow Dash grumbled and dumped him on top of her bed.
Listen,
she started, standing above him. Batty shook his head, tilting his nose up high like some fashion pony Rainbow knew. She laughed, rolling her eyes.
Not gonna talk, huh?
She asked. Sighing, she turned around.
Fine, you win, kid.
The cyan mare, with a flap of her wings, retrieved the cookie jar from the floor.
There,
she said.
Now spill. Why are you in my house?
Batty had already bitten off a piece of cookie and glanced up at Rainbow with puffed out cheeks.
'Cause you're my Blue Mummy,
he exclaimed, knocking over the jar. Rainbow didn't even try to deny it anymore. She sat next to the colt on the bed.
Look, it was real nice meeting you a couple of weeks ago, but don't you think your parents are looking for you?
She inquired softly. The grey pony stopped eating for a moment, and his ears fell.
No, it's okay. They're sleeping right now.
Rainbow Dash pressed her lips together.
Yeah, dude, but what happens when they wake up?
Batty looked up into her rose-coloured eyes.
I'll be back by then. Besides, they won't even notice,
he said quietly. Rainbow pulled back and cocked her head to the side.
Won't notice? What are you talking about, kid?
She pulled Batty closer and rubbed his head playfully. The colt giggled, but then he grew solemn. I know Mummy and Daddy love me, but sometimes they have stuff to do. They don't always have time for me. He looked down. Rainbow felt her heart jerk a little bit. She hated to see the little kid like that. Batty's frown disappeared. But now you're here. I missed you, Blue Mummy. So I thought you wanted to have a sleepover, he exclaimed. You do, right? Rainbow snapped out of her trance and bit her lip at his wide, pleading eyes.
Sure?
Her eyes darted around. Really? Batty shouted, bouncing on the bed in excitement, his leathery wings flapping. Rainbow flinched, bringing her hoof through her multicoloured mane. She groaned, trying to sort through her mind. This kid was so adorable, and obviously really liked her. But what if she got charged for foal napping? Or didn't get any sleep? Those were two very serious things. She glanced back down at the colt, who squealed. Please, 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 he gasped, wagging his tail like a dog.
Please, 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 please.
Rainbow tackled the foal and clapped her hoof over his mouth.
Just stop.
She jerked back in sudden revulsion, frantically wiping her hoof on her bedsheet.
Did you just lick me, kid?
Batty stuck out his tongue, grinning wildly.
No.
Rainbow Dash groaned, almost laughing despite herself.
How'd you get like this, Batty? You're gonna make me pass out from cuteness.
Batty gasped, bringing a hoof up to Rainbow's head in childlike concern.
Is it contaminous, Blue Mummy? Are you sick?
The blue Pegasus shook her head in mirth.
No, buddy, it's not contagious. Though I wish.
She squished his face playfully. Then she pulled it back quickly, shaking her head. Rarity was starting to rub off on her. She was not a softie.
Okay,
she said carefully.
You can have a sleep... You can stay here for a bit, seeing as there's no getting rid of you.
The young colt clapped his hooves together, running up to Rainbow's floofy chest. He hugged it tightly, making little happy horse noises.
Oh, you're the best.
Rainbow blushed, although surprisingly enjoying his warm embrace.
Yeah, I know,
she said brashly, awkwardly petting his head. Batty sat back, immediately remembering his snack. While munching contently, he tilted his ear up.
What are these called, Blue Mummy?
Rainbow cackled, wiping her eye.
You've never eaten cookies before, Batty?
She shifted on the bed. Batty made a face.
Well, then again, you've never eaten cereal before, so...
Rainbow put a hoof to her chin in thought. The colt beside her offered her the circular dessert, also putting a hoof to his chin. Rainbow nommed on it absent-mindedly. What to do with a little foal? She had never foal-sat before.
Hey, Batty?
She asked. The colt fluttered his wings slightly.
How would you like a bedtime story?
Her voice cracked a bit. Batty shot up, shrieking at a pitch that almost made Rainbow's ears bleed.
Yes, yes!
He yelled, placing his arms around Rainbow Dash. But then he paused.
We're not ready for it yet.
Rainbow waited ever so patiently.
We need an amazing fortress of pillows and blankies and things, Blue Mummy.
Rainbow Dash blinked.
Oh, of course. I'm so sorry. It just slipped my mind for a second. How could I forget about that?
Batty nodded vigorously.
It's the rule for bat ponies,
he said, jumping down from the bed. He scrambled off of his rump to the closet. Rainbow couldn't hide her smile.
Oh, Blue Mummy, look! Can I wear it?
Rainbow poked her head inside the closet, following Batty's gaze to a pair of pyjamas. She blushed, trying to shut the door. The foal blocked it with his hoof.
Can I please? Pretty please. It looks so soft,
he cried out, prying the closet door open. The Siam Pegasus groaned, reluctantly pulling forth the green sleepwear that looked just about the colt's size. Oh, and it was a onesie. Rainbow gave a sheepish smile.
Okay, but if any pony asks, these were not mine when I was younger. Deal?
She held out the clothes in her arms. Batty grinned.
Deal,
he agreed, grabbing it from the older pony. He tried to push it over his head, but failed adorably. Rainbow laughed, walking up to help get it on. She pulled his hooves up to each sleeve, and felt something squeeze in her chest when she stepped back.
Hold on, I'm about to die from cuteness.
Batty giggled, bouncing from the room to Rainbow's bedroom. He stopped at their amazing architecture. The Siam Pegasus stared in a sort of awe at the huge pile and assortment of blankets before her. Man, that colt could really build a fort. She whistled.
Good job, Squirt,
she praised to the energetic foal. Batty, squeaking, dove into the opening.
Come on, Blue Mummy, he called.
Rainbow Dash trotted forward, ducking low to make it into the fort. The blanket brushed her back as she hunkered down.
Hi, come on.
Batty patted the spot beside him on the pillows, shouldering the blanket.
Okay.
Rainbow said, smiling fondly. The whole tent was bringing a wave of nostalgia over her. She laid next to the foal, bringing out her Daring Do book from under her wing. Thankfully, Batty didn't ask about her love for the series.
Batty, you sure you can handle the awesomeness that is Daring Do? Some of this stuff may be a bit too intense for little foals.
Rainbow looked down at the colt, who snuggled up against her side.
I am not a little foal, Blue Mummy. I can take it.
He grinned proudly. Rainbow was skeptical, but she cleared her throat.
Chapter 1,
she began.
Daring trekked through the blazing hot sand, wiping the grit from her eyes. Each step weighed 1,000 pounds, and every breath was a struggle. Daring sank into the dune, vainly swallowing whatever moisture was left in her mouth. Was that it? Would she never find the Temple of Sacred Sands and retrieve the golden idol of Sphinx? The Pegasus could feel her strength slipping away after the long journey. Just as Daring was sure she would breathe her last, she...
Rainbow broke off when she heard the sound of gentle snoring beside her. Batty had curled up against her side and had dozed off, most likely as soon as she had started. Rainbow pulled a wing over him, watching the colt. She had only just met him twice, and she already felt like they were close. Ugh, she was sappy. Batty stirred.
Good night, Mummy,
he mumbled. Rainbow's eyes widened at the lack of blue. But come on, that's priceless. She stroked his fur lightly with a feather.
Good night, Batty.
The end. And there you have it, every pony. I've got to say it was amazing to be able to voice Batty again. Who remembers Batty's actual name? Post it in the comments if you remember it. So, the next time you hear from me, I will be doing another Klopfic reading. Of course, as per my schedule, always dictates that after every fanfic, a Klopfic must follow. And I don't plan on throwing that schedule out the window anytime soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to be working on and uploading a video that I said contains something that I needed to address. Don't worry, it's not a boring announcement video. It does have something interesting in it. If any of you are music enthusiasts, this video will be for you. So, stay tuned for that. Hopefully I can pull it off and not get crucified, but we shall see. Anyways, I shall see you all next time. Links to my Patreon and the story are in the description. I will see you all next time. Ciao.